Loot filters are important in action RPGs. Now, starting out, you might not know much yet about how Last Epoch plays or what you want for your character. Luckily, you don't need to, as it's incredibly easy to adjust the loot filter on the fly. So as you find out that, hey, maybe I'm not using the spell that I was originally going with, you can just change your filter. It only takes a couple seconds, and it will mean that your items stay up to date far better than if you don't use one and have to wade through a bunch of clutter. In this video, I break the making of a basic loot filter for leveling down into 3 steps, talk you through all of them, and hopefully give you the tools that you need to not only make a filter for yourself, but customize it and adapt it as you continue to level. This only covers what you'll want for leveling. If you want to make a loot filter for endgame, that's a little bit different, and I'm going to get into that in another video, so be sure to subscribe to the channel and keep an eye out for it. This video was brought to you in part due to the generous support of my YouTube channel members and patrons. More about how you can support at the end of the video, but if you want to help for free, you can do so by feeding the algorithm gods and leaving a like on the video, or turning on bell notifications so that you see whenever I upload. So step 1, to start out, you need to bring up the loot filter interface. You do this by holding Shift plus F. Create a filter, create a new filter. Then you can just fill this in, pick an icon, pick a color, and hit confirm. You have now created a loot filter. It doesn't do anything yet though. Now we need to add rules. So to start with, let's hide all the items that we don't want to see. This means first hiding anything that is a normal or magic or rare item. The idea behind this is most normal magic rare items are junk. There are some you'll want, but you can differentiate those by the mods on the item, so we can unhide them in a later step. Then add rule, hide, add condition, class requirement. Here you select everything that's not your class, so I'm on an Acolyte currently, which means I select Rogue, Sentinel, Mage, and Primalist. This will hide things that aren't made for my class. Step 1 complete. We've now hidden most of the items in the game. Now let's move on to step 2, where we show the things that we most want to see. We can do this by adding a rule. Instead of show, go to recolor. This will show the item and turn it a pretty color, like pink. Add condition. Affix. Affixes are what the mods or lines of text on the item are. So health, for example, is an affix, as are resistances. When you're leveling, health and resistances are very important because they help you to not die, they let you make mistakes and learn fights. So I'm just going to select health here and resistance and armor, confirm. Items with at least 2 of these things on the same item will now show up. So with just this, we've got a bunch of really basic gear that will help us in our leveling experience. This will only be defensive. You get a lot of your damage from your passive tree and your skill specialization trees. Then to continue, I want to go to recolor again and turn something, let's just say blue. And I want to show all of an item type, and that item type is idols. Idols are small trinkets that you can keep in a little Tetris grid that offer really good bonuses to your character. The reason that I'm coloring them blue is I want them to stand out from a normal item. I want them to stand out from what might otherwise be just a gear upgrade. So now we've got a bunch of pink stuff that you can see that's probably a gear upgrade, and idols which are blue. Let's move on to step 3, where we fine-tune things a little bit and get into damage mods some more. So the first thing that I want to do is recolor and emphasize. This is to show something that is particularly rare and particularly valuable. I'm going to pick affix again. I'm going to go to down here where it says class specific and select Acolyte. Class specific modifiers are generally a lot rarer than others. They have powerful bonuses though, like increasing the level of your skills and various things that enhance skill behavior, like making a lot of bleed chance easily possible if you're an Acolyte. So now confirm and add. We've got a nice 50 affixes that will all show up red. You'll want to save these and potentially break them down for crafting shards, even if you aren't using the item that it comes on. And this is where it gets a little more complicated. Don't worry too much, it's not that tough. You just need to think about things in terms of what you might need rather than just what you're using right now. So for this recolor, we want generically good affixes. So let's just say movement speed, because walking faster is good. Cooldown recovery is often good unless you happen to be using no skills with cooldowns. And even though we've already highlighted health here, I'm going to highlight the hybrid health as it's a fairly rare mod And you're going to want these on endgame items, so you're going to want to start collecting them now and using runes of shattering to shatter the gear and recover the crafting shard, hopefully. There's several other rare things, though, that you could highlight right now. And to know what else to add, let's look a little bit at our skill by hitting add here and coming down to Rip Blood. You always want to look at the scaling tags for the skills you're using. So Rip Blood has the scaling tags of physical, spell, and intelligence. Let's go back into the recolor here and see what we can select. Well, up at attributes, you can now select intelligence. This will help scale your Rip Blood and give you more damage. Under the spell tag, maybe you know which ones you want, most likely you don't, so you can just select all of them. Then under damage type, you can select physical damage and physical penetration. The idea behind this is now we've got a bunch of affixes that will probably help our Rip Blood and will make our early game leveling a little bit easier. Then for the final touch, I want to add one special filter to show and emphasize a weapon. So if you know what sort of weapon you want to use, like let's just say you know you wanted to use a scepter or a wand or a staff because those have caster modifiers, well then awesome. If you're new, you might not know what weapon you want to use. You might also not know what modifiers you want on your weapon. As a really basic rule of thumb to think about, if you're playing an attack build, you generally want something that adds damage. So if we come over here and we look at a weapon, this has +9 to melee physical damage. That's what you'd be using if you were using a melee skill. And it has +2 to adaptive spell damage. So adaptive spell damage is what you'd use if you're using a spell like Rip Blood. Adaptive means it matches itself to the element of the spell. So this would be +2 spell physical damage. If you're using minions, you'd want a weapon that obviously has minion modifiers or minion adaptive damage. So to come back, if I know what I'm doing, then I can add the specific rule. If not, then maybe I just want to go super generic. I select to emphasize and recolor, and I just say item type, all weapons. And maybe even all offhands as well. Although it should be noted that some weapons are class specific, so those won't be shown because of the other rule that hides things we can't use. Now you'd be able to see a wide variety of weapons. You'd be able to experiment for yourself as to what you want to use and pick through things and make it more strict over time. Now, one really important last step here is we want to make sure that even if an item matches one of our highlights, if it's not usable by our class, then we don't see it. So we just go hide and put that at the top. This now overrides everything. We'll never see a primalist, mage, sentinel, or rogue specific item. Optionally, if you want to see high rarity items for a class that you're not currently playing, you can do that as well, just by going to show, add condition, rarity, exalted, unique, and set. And there you go. Your loot filter is all set up and you're ready for leveling. I hope you found these 3 steps to be helpful. If you have any questions about how to set up a loot filter for your leveling experience, then please do let me know down in the comments below. If on the other hand, you want to do something more endgame focused, then keep an eye out for my future video. Thank you for watching. And again, a special thanks to my patrons and YouTube channel members. If you want to support me, you can do so by clicking the links down in the description below or on screen right now. You can also support by making purchases through my Nexus page. Or if you just want to chill and hang out, be sure to join the Discord. Again, links for everything are down in the description below. Thank you, and have a great day.